The wind howled through the grand hall as torches flickered, and stone walls seemed to breathe with secrets. Sir Cedric said, "Why has the council summoned me so urgently?" His voice cracked with both pride and dread. The great doors swung open with a crash, and guards marched in with solemn faces, their armor clanging like a funeral bell. "Lord Alaric," said Sir Cedric, "by order of the crown, you are accused of treachery." Gasps echoed, and silence fell heavier than steel. The hall's shadows grew long, stretching toward Cedric's trembling hands as his sword slipped to the floor. Sir Cedric said, "This cannot be true. I have bled for this kingdom." His words were sharp, but sorrow stained every syllable. From the balcony above, Lady Evelyne whispered a prayer, her eyes drowning in sorrow. Master Eldrin's gaze fell, filled with both wisdom and quiet despair. A bell tolled in the distance, slow and merciless, sealing the weight of the accusation. The kingdom's faith in its hero shattered in a single night. The council chamber grew heavier as Sir Cedric was bound in chains, his wrists clamped in iron. He spoke through clenched teeth, "I have served this land with every drop of my blood." Lord Alaric said, "Your service does not erase betrayal." Master Eldrin turned his face away, his silence heavier than condemnation. Lady Evelyne whispered, "This is wrong, I can feel it." The guards tightened their grip, dragging Cedric toward the throne where whispers swelled into shouts of fury. The once beloved knight became a villain in the eyes of his people, though his heart bled with truth. The throne loomed tall, cold stone adorned with banners, now stained by doubt. The king absent, Lord Alaric ruled judgment in his place. Sir Cedric said, "Let the king hear my words, for he knows my loyalty." Lord Alaric smirked, "The king's silence condemns you more than I." Gasps rolled through the chamber. Lady Evelyne's knuckles whitened as she gripped the balcony rail. Master Eldrin muttered softly, "Truth buried beneath lies will one day resurface." The guards forced Cedric to kneel, his pride broken, his fate uncertain. The hall erupted with voices, each louder than the last. "Traitor!" they cried, while Cedric's heart pounded like a war drum. Sir Cedric said, "I fought for every stone of this kingdom." His plea met only with jeers. Lady Evelyne shouted, "He is innocent." Her words drowned beneath thunderous calls for punishment. Master Eldrin raised his staff, his voice booming, "Enough! Let judgment not blind us." Silence fell once more, but Lord Alaric smirked, knowing the seed of doubt had already taken root. The bell tolled once more, echoing across the land as a sentence of shame. Sir Cedric said, "Strike me down, but truth will not die." Lord Alaric declared, "You shall not die yet. Instead, live in disgrace." Shackled, Cedric was dragged through the hall as whispers turned to curses. Lady Evelyne wept silently, her tears unseen by the crowd. Master Eldrin closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "The path has begun, and fate is cruel." The kingdom's night became its prisoner, and the dawn of his fall was sealed. The storm raged as Sir Cedric stumbled through the muddy streets, chains dragging behind him like broken wings. His people spat curses, their faith shattered by lies. Sir Cedric said, "Do you not remember the fields I defended?" His words dissolved into the wind. Children threw stones and merchants turned their faces away. Lady Evelyne watched from the shadows of her veil, her lips trembling as silence held her captive. Master Eldrin followed from a distance, sorrow carved across his face. Lord Alaric whispered to the guards, "Parade his shame, let the people drink his fall." The bells tolled again, cruel and cold. Sir Cedric's boots sank into the mire, but his eyes burned with wounded pride. His kingdom no longer saw a hero, only a fallen shadow cast against the storm. The weight of exile pressed heavier than chains. Sir Cedric collapsed near the edge of the village, his knees sinking into wet soil. He whispered, "If I am no knight, then what remains of me?" The guards left him broken, their duty fulfilled. Master Eldrin approached, laying a trembling hand on his shoulder. Master Eldrin said, "Your honor lives, though unseen. and the path forward is darker still. Sir Cedric turned, his voice heavy. Will any hand reach for me when all see me as a traitor? From behind, Lady Evelyne's quiet cry cut the silence. Mine. She stepped forward, defying fear. Yet shadows lurked nearby, where Lord Alaric watched with sharp eyes, his smirk hidden under the hood. The storm eased, but the air stayed heavy with betrayal. By dawn, Sir Cedric wandered into the forest, his chains dragging, leaving scars in the earth. Birds stayed silent, as though fearing the cursed night's presence. Sir Cedric said, "Even the woods turn against me." Master Eldrin followed, his voice calm. The woods hide truth as well as danger. Lady Evelyne clutched her gown, her heart torn between duty and love. From the clearing's edge, a stranger emerged. Rowan, the loyal companion, his voice steady. Rowan said, "Where you go, I follow, no matter what they call you." Cedric's eyes burned with sudden tears. Lord Alaric, unseen, whispered to a messenger hawk, "Watch him. His ruin feeds the throne." The sun pierced clouds, casting fractured light upon broken men and fragile hope. Deep in the woods, Sir Cedric leaned against an oak, his breath ragged. He said, "I am cursed with dishonor." Rowan replied, "You are cursed only with loyalty unrecognized." Lady Evelyne knelt, pressing her hand to his wounds. Lady Evelyne whispered, "They cannot erase the truth written in your deeds." Master Eldrin lifted his staff, drawing faint lines of light in the air. Master Eldrin said, "Your fall was foretold, but so too is your rise." Sir Cedric's voice trembled. "Then why does every path feel like ash?" Above them, unseen, Lord Alaric's shadow lingered, his dagger glinting as he vowed, "Hope is the sweetest prey." The forest darkened, branches closing in, heavy with omen. Night fell, and they built a fire in the forest hollow. Sir Cedric stared into the flames, his chains glinting like serpents. Sir Cedric said, "The kingdom sees me as a villain." Rowan answered, "Then let me be condemned with you." Lady Evelyne's eyes watered, her whisper breaking, "I will not let them destroy what you are." Master Eldrin looked into the sky, speaking gravely, "Stars burn brightest in darkest night." Cedric. Cedric clenched his fists, his jaw firming with reluctant strength. Sir Cedric said, "If the world abandons me, then I will carve truth from shadows." Beyond the firelight, unseen by all, Lord Alaric pressed parchment into a messenger's hand, whispering, "Spread fear. Fear is the blade sharper than any sword." The fire hissed as sparks flew, sealing the promise of deeper trials ahead. The forest opened into a glade where mist curled like restless spirits. Sir Cedric said, "Even the earth groans at my step." Rowan laughed softly, "Then let it groan, for it remembers your courage." Lady Evelyne whispered, "And yet men forget faster than stone." Master Eldrin tapped his staff and muttered, "Forgetting is a disease of power." As dawn burned the fog, a sound of wings thundered overhead. A dark falcon circled, its cry piercing the silence. Lord Alaric's shadow stretched from afar, his whispers binding the bird to his will. Sir Cedric raised his eyes, rage and sorrow colliding in a single breath. Rowan placed his hand upon Cedric's shoulder and said, "Falcons serve masters, but men choose who they follow." The glade shivered with unseen tension, as though destiny itself paused to listen. The group pressed deeper into the woods, where ancient trees twisted like watchful giants. Sir Cedric said, "Each step drags chains of guilt." Lady Evelyne touched his arm gently. "Chains can be broken." Rowan chuckled, "Or they can be turned into weapons." Master Eldrin stopped, placing his hand on a mossy stone carved with old runes. He murmured, "The forest remembers truths the crown dares not speak." The stone pulsed faintly with light, shadows recoiling. Cedric's heart pounded as whispers rose from the air itself, voices of fallen knights calling his name. Rowan whispered, "Do you hear them?" Cedric said, "I hear judgment." Evelyne trembled, or perhaps hope. The runes flared brighter, casting a glow over them as if the forest itself breathed. By midday, The group entered a clearing with ruins half swallowed by ivy. Sir Cedric said, "Here, even stone has fallen from grace." Rowan smiled faintly. "Then stone knows your pain." Lady Evelyne ran her fingers along a cracked pillar and whispered, "What beauty destroyed, can beauty rise again?" Master Eldrin knelt before a broken altar, tracing its carvings. He muttered, "This place belonged to guardians long forgotten." The ground shivered, and Cedric stumbled as shadows stretched unnaturally. A faint voice echoed, "Knight unworthy burden-bearer." Cedric growled, "I am no traitor." Rowan tightened his grip on his blade, his eyes sweeping the ruins. Evelyne's tears glistened as she whispered, "The world cannot see your truth, but I can." The ruins hummed with unseen power, drawing them deeper. The ruins whispered with voices, faint yet piercing. Sir Cedric pressed his palm against the altar, muttering, "If you seek my guilt, find none." The altar flared and pain surged through him, throwing him to his knees. Rowan shouted, "Stand, Cedric, you are stronger than curses." Evelyne reached for him, tears slipping. Evelyne cried, "You are not alone." Master Eldrin's voice thundered, "It is not guilt that binds you, but doubt." Cedric gasped, "Then how do I fight myself?" Eldrin answered, "By seeing yourself through their eyes." Cedric lifted his head and saw Rowan's fierce loyalty, Evelyne's desperate hope, Eldrin's wisdom. The voices fell silent, leaving only a pulsing glow. The knight trembled, no longer certain whether he had faced an enemy or a mirror. Night crept in, cloaking the ruins in cold blue shadow. Sir Cedric sat by broken stone, eyes hollow yet aflame. Cedric said, "I saw my weakness, and it was darker than any enemy." Rowan answered firmly, "Then it is proof you are still human." Evelyne whispered, "And proof you still can love." Cedric looked at her, silence speaking more than words. Eldrin lowered his staff, voice weary. Eldrin said, "The curse feeds on your doubt. Defy it, and its power withers." From beyond the trees, unseen, Lord Alaric's falcon watched, eyes glowing, carrying every secret back to its master. Cedric clenched his fists and whispered, "Then I will fight not just for my name, but for those who still see me." The ruins glimmered faintly, as though agreeing with his vow. The night deepened as Sir Cedric and his companions reached the edge of the marshlands. The fog clung like a living shroud, curling around their ankles. Rowan said, "This place tastes of lies." Lady Evelyne clutched her cloak tighter and whispered, "It feels as though unseen eyes hunt us." Master Eldrin raised his staff, its faint glow cutting through the mist. He said, "These lands remember treachery, for many betrayals were sealed here." Sir Cedric's gaze hardened, his voice low. He said, "Then perhaps truth waits within the mire." From the shadows Lord Alaric whispered to a cloaked figure, "Their trust crumbles. Soon one will turn against them." The marsh groaned beneath their steps, swallowing each sound. Fear weighed heavy, though none dared speak it aloud. The marsh thickened, the air choking with rot. Sir Cedric said, "Each step sinks me deeper into shadow." Rowan growled, "Then we drag the shadow down with us." Evelyne stumbled, catching Cedric's arm, her whisper breaking. She said, "Do not let this land consume you." Master Eldrin pressed his hand to a crooked tree and said, "The ground remembers blood spilled here. It clings to the living." Cedric's jaw clenched as he stared into the dark pools, reflecting ghostly light. Then a voice rose from nowhere. "Knight, your oath is ash, your soul chained." Cedric shouted, "Show yourself." But only mist answered, curling into human-like shapes. Lord Alaric watched from afar, smirking as his deception grew roots. The marsh had become a stage for illusions. Suddenly from the mist stepped a figure cloaked in black. His eyes gleamed with hidden intent. It was Sir Cale, the false ally. Sir Cale said, "At last I find you in your hour of weakness." Rowan snapped, Your tongue reeks of poison. Evelyne's breath caught, whispering, Why are you here, Cale? Cedric's eyes burned, his words ablaze. He said, Were you not once my sworn brother in arms? Cale smirked. Once, but loyalty dies faster than kings. Eldrin lifted his staff, muttering, The viper unveils itself at last. The marsh quaked, as if it too rejected Cale's venom. Alaric's laughter echoed faintly across the bog. Cedric's heart clenched. A friend's face had become his enemy. The marsh erupted with tension. Sir Cale stepped closer, voice low. Sir Cale said, Cedric, surrender, and perhaps I let you live. Rowan barked, You'll taste steel before we yield. Evelyne cried, Cale, this is madness. Cedric's voice cracked, heavy with betrayal. He said, You were my brother, trusted more than blood. Cale's laugh was sharp, cutting. Sir Cale said, And yet it was your blood that drowned my honor. Eldrin roared, Enough! The marsh feeds on hatred. The ground shook, black water rising, reflecting their fractured bonds. Cedric's heart split, grief warring with fury. He whispered, If you want my fall, you'll have to earn it. The night grew darker, as if the world mourned. Blades clashed under the moon as Sir Cale lunged at Sir Cedric, sparks flying. Rowan cried, Stand, Cedric, stand. Evelyne screamed, Stop this, you'll kill each other. Eldrin struck his staff to the ground, sending light cracking through the marsh. Cedric's sword locked with Cale's, the sound sharp as thunder. Cedric growled, If betrayal is your path, then so be it. Cale snarled, It is the only truth I know. Alaric's laughter drifted like smoke, feeding the chaos. Evelyne fell to her knees, weeping. Rowan's blade sliced the mist, but the marsh thickened, swallowing sound and light. Cedric's face hardened, his heart bleeding. The brother he once trusted had become the shadow that hunted him. The night sealed their fate with steel and sorrow. The marsh bled into forgotten ruins, broken stones rising like teeth in the earth. Sir Cedric staggered, his sword heavy with sorrow. Rowan said, We should not linger, this place reeks of death. Lady Evelyne whispered, It feels like the ground remembers every cry. Master Eldrin placed his staff upon the shattered floor, eyes grave. He said, This is where oaths were broken, and curses born. The walls trembled as whispers filled the air, voices echoing Cedric's shame. Sir Cedric cried, What truth hides here? The shadows responded, The crime was not yours, but it bound you. Evelyne gasped, Then who betrayed the crown? Cedric's hands trembled as realization flickered. From the darkness, Lord Alaric's voice rose in mocking tones. Lord Alaric said, At last the veil tears, and truth crawls free. The ruins shook with the weight of revelation. The air thickened, shadows curling into the shape of memories. A vision formed. Sir Cale kneeling before Lord Alaric. Rowan growled, Cale, you bent your knee to him. Sir Cale laughed bitterly. I bent it to truth, not lies. Cedric's face paled, his voice breaking. He said, You betrayed not me alone, but all who trusted you. Evelyne cried, You swore to protect us. Eldrin's staff flared as he declared, This vision is no lie, it reveals the root of betrayal. Cedric's chest heaved as rage and grief consumed him. Cedric shouted, You frame me to mask your own treachery. Cale's phantom smirked, and the people believed it. The ruins shook again, stones splitting as the truth clawed free. Evelyne whispered through tears, Your fall was his deceit, Cedric, not your sin. Darkness recoiled as the vision shattered into dust. The ground split, and firelight burst from beneath. Cedric collapsed to his knees. Cedric said, Everything I lost, every name cursed, was because of this lie. Rowan gripped his shoulder and said, Then we carved truth with steel. Evelyne knelt, tears shining, whispering, You are no traitor, Cedric, your soul is clear. Eldrin raised his staff, eyes blazing. Eldrin said, The curse fed on your doubt, now it withers under truth. Alaric stepped forward from the shadows, his voice cruel. Lord Alaric said, truth is useless when power bends ears, the people will always believe me. Cedric's rage rose like fire, his words thundered. Cedric said, then let them believe through deeds. Sparks flew as his sword struck stone, echoing like a vow. The ruins glowed brighter, refusing to be silenced. The ruins trembled violently as shadows burst into shapes of armored wraiths. Rowan roared, they are born from his lies. Cedric rose, fury burning in his eyes. Cedric said, then let lies taste steel. Evelyne clasped her hands whispering, the truth will shield you. Eldrin struck his staff down, sending light into the wraiths. Eldrin said, these spirits are chained to Alaric's treachery, break them, and chains will shatter. Alaric sneered, raising his hand, commanding the shades. Lord Alaric shouted, let his shame devour him whole. Cedric swung his sword, cutting through shadows as sparks burst like fire. Rowan struck beside him, shouting, your fall ends here. The wraiths shrieked, recoiling into smoke. Evelyne's prayers echoed, weaving strength into Cedric's strike. The ruins blazed with light, shattering the false past. Silence fell as the last wraith vanished into ash. Cedric stood heaving, his sword glowing faintly. Cedric whispered, the truth is mine again, yet my name is still broken. Rowan answered firmly, then let us mend it with blood and honor. Evelyne touched Cedric's face gently, her tears soft. Evelyne said to me, your name was never broken. Eldrin sighed, lowering his staff, his voice weary. Eldrin said, this battle proved only the beginning. Alaric's lies still bind the crown. Alaric smirked from the shadows, his voice venom. Lord Alaric said, and the crown will never hear your truth. Cedric's jaw tightened, his voice fierce. Cedric said, then I will carve truth not into ears, but into history itself. The ruins fell silent, yet the vow lingered like thunder long after the storm. The forest thinned, revealing the black spires of the fortress where truth and death waited. Sir Cedric said, if fate demands my end, let it be here. Rowan growled, not your end but your rise. Lady Evelyne clutched his arm and whispered, do not carry this alone. Master Eldrin raised his staff and said, the path of redemption bleeds before triumph. From the shadows, Sir Cedric emerged, his armor glinting under the storm. Sir Cedric sneered, you still chase lies as if they were worth your life. Cedric's eyes hardened, his voice a vow. He said, I chase truth, though it tears me apart. Lord Alaric's laughter echoed from the battlements. Lord Alaric said, come then, broken knight, carve your truth on stone walls. The storm howled as the final trial began. The gates crashed open, and soldiers poured forth. Rowan shouted, stand fast, Cedric. Cedric roared, for true. His blade clashed with steel, sparks flying. Evelyne cried, do not fall. Her hands glowed faintly as she whispered prayers. Eldrin summoned light, striking down shadows that lunged. Sir Cedric charged, blade raised high. Sir Cedric said, your truth dies here. Cedric blocked, the impact rattling his bones. Alaric's voice boomed from above. Lord Alaric said, kill him, and his shame dies with him. Rowan cut down two men, shouting, you'll not take him. Evelyne wept, her prayers weaving hope into Cedric's blows. The courtyard filled with blood, light, and fury, a trial written in steel. The clash grew heavier, each strike tearing at Cedric's strength. Cedric gasped, why, Cedric? Why betray the oath we swore? Sir Cedric snarled, because you were chosen while I was cast aside. Rowan spat, envy is a coward's crown. Evelyne cried, Cedric, stop this before you are lost. Eldrin's voice thundered, his soul was lost, the moment he chose pride. Cedric's blade struck Cedric's shoulder, sparks bursting. Cedric staggered, but did not fall. Cedric growled, if my life ends, it ends for truth, not pride. The storm cracked with lightning as Cale screamed, "Then die with your lies." Their swords locked again, steel shrieking. Cedric's heart thundered like a drum of war. The trial grew darker, blood mingling with rain. The battle raged, but suddenly Cedric fell to his knees, blood soaking the ground. Evelyne screamed, "Cedric!" Rowan fought furiously, cutting a path to him. Eldrin struck his staff, light bursting outward, driving soldiers back. Sir Cale loomed above Cedric, blade ready. Sir Cale snarled, "Your fall is complete." Cedric raised his gaze, defiance burning through pain. Cedric whispered, "Not while one still believes." Evelyne rushed forward, clutching Cedric's hand. Evelyne cried, "I believe, always." Rowan roared, "Then rise, Cedric." Eldrin declared, "Hope is the weapon pride cannot touch." Cedric grasped his sword and forced himself upward. His blade flared with sudden light, defying despair. Cale staggered back, his sneer faltering. Alaric's smirk faded, unease breaking through his mask. The storm reached its peak as Cedric rose, his sword blazing with light drawn from faith. Cedric roared, "This truth is mine and no lie can bury it." He struck Cale's blade aside, sparks flying. Rowan fought at his flank, shouting, "We stand with you." Evelyne's tears glowed as she whispered, "You are not fallen, you are risen." Eldrin's voice rang like thunder, "The trial is met, the curse undone." Cale fell back, his face twisted in despair. Cale gasped, "No, I was meant to be chosen." Cedric lowered his sword, his voice heavy. Cedric said, "You were chosen, but you chose pride." Alaric screamed in fury, his voice shaking the spires. The storm calmed, leaving silence heavy with destiny. Cedric stood bloodied but unbroken, the trial of redemption complete. The fortress trembled as storm clouds broke, moonlight piercing through shattered stone. Sir Cedric said, "Alaric, your lies end tonight." Rowan growled, "We stand with him no matter the cost." Lady Evelyne whispered, "May his blade carry truth to the throne." Master Eldrin raised his staff and declared, "The final battle dawns." Lord Alaric stepped forward, his crimson robes torn, eyes blazing. Lord Alaric sneered, "You are no knight, Cedric, only a shadow cast by pity." Cedric's voice thundered, "If shadow I am, then it will be one that swallows your deceit." The ground cracked, flames bursting from within, swallowing broken banners. Evelyne cried, "Hold fast, Cedric!" Rowan tightened his grip on his blade, ready for the storm. The kingdom's fate hung by a thread. Steel clashed as Cedric and Alaric met, sparks flying in the shattered hall. Rowan fought back, soldiers pressing from the side. Rowan roared, "Cedric, end him!" Evelyne prayed louder, her voice breaking, "Strike with truth, not hatred." Eldrin chanted, his staff glowing with divine light. Master Eldrin said, "Let justice be your strength." Alaric's voice dripped venom, "This kingdom will kneel to me, not to a fallen fraud." Cedric's blade rang out, meeting his strike. "I know," Cedric said, "better a fallen knight than a king of ashes." Lightning split the skies, casting shadows across their faces. Evelyne's tears streaked her cheeks as she whispered, "Please, Cedric, survive this night." The hall shook as fury and faith collided in steel and fire. Alaric pressed Cedric back, their blades grinding. Lord Alaric spat, "You fight for ghosts, Cedric." Cedric roared, "I fight for the living who still believe." Rowan cut down a soldier, shouting, "Hold strong!" Evelyne gasped as Cedric faltered, her hands glowing faintly with faith. Evelyne whispered, "My strength is yours." Cedric's blade burned brighter, light flooding the hall. Eldrin's voice boomed, "The curse shatters with belief." Alaric's fury twisted his face. Lord Alaric screamed, "I will not fall to a liar." Cedric struck, sparks exploding. Cedric said, "No, you fall to your own lies." The walls groaned as cracks spread. Rowan stood firm at Cedric's flank. Evelyne's prayer carried through the hall, a soft plea against darkness. The fortress shook as Cedric struck Alaric's blade aside, cutting deep across his chest. Lord Alaric staggered, rage filling his eyes. Lord Alaric gasped. This kingdom was mine by right. Cedric said, a throne built on lies is already broken. Rowan roared, fall, tyrant. Evelyne cried, Cedric, do not lose yourself in his fall. Eldrin raised his staff, sending beams of light that pinned Alaric to the ground. Master Eldrin said, truth binds what lies cannot. Alaric's scream shook the stones, his power unraveling. Cedric's blade glowed, finality burning in his eyes. Cedric whispered, for those you silenced. He drove the blade down. The storm broke, moonlight flooding the ruins. Silence followed, heavy and eternal. The battle ended. Alaric lay fallen, his eyes dim, his crown shattered. Cedric stood trembling, his sword lowered. Cedric said, the truth is free, but at what cost? Rowan placed a hand on his shoulder and said, at the cost of lies undone. Evelyne's tears shimmered in the moonlight. Evelyne whispered, you are no fallen knight, you are our hope. Eldrin sighed deeply, his staff dimming. Master Eldrin said, the kingdom will remember not what you lost, but what you gave. Cedric raised his eyes to the night sky, his voice solemn. Cedric said, then let my name bear the scars of truth. The moonlight fell upon them, sealing both sorrow and redemption. The knight who wasn't became the knight who rose, though forever haunted.